Okay, so here's the PowerShell script to create and add a bunch of disks to a VM that you want to put a SQL Server data warehouse on, for example, right? So there's a bunch of variables at the top that you want to set. So your resource group name that your VM's in, your subscription, your tenant, the VM name. This is just define the VM, right? And then the disk information. So how big are the disks? Very common for us to use the 512 gig disk because they give a nice balance of throughput and capacity. The number of disks, I'm just going for 4 because I think the VM size I have only supports up to 4, but there might be more disks, like anything 5, 6, kind of 7 or 8. And then how we want them cached. It's very common for us to use no caching for data warehouse workloads because that gives us a higher throughput, a raw throughput for when we're doing table scans. What LUN number we want to start at, we'll use that kind of 0, and we're going to go sort of 0, 1, 2. But if there's this already on there, you might want to start at a higher number, say, right? We're going to authenticate. Now, if we're running in Cloud Shell, we're probably already authenticated, so there's a little bit of defensive code. So this will support both Cloud Shell and non-Cloud Shell. There's a double check that we've got the correct context, like the subscription. So we can locate the VM, stick it into a variable or an object variable, and then this little loop will add the required number of data lists based on the loop, set the correct kind of policies, and then this update VM will finally update the VM. So without further ado, let's push F5, and I'm just going to run the whole thing. Now, usually if I was to run this, I would be tempted to select blocks and push F8 and kind of do it in a bit, but I'm just going to go. F5, it's running away. So it's set the context. I'm probably already authenticated. It's adding the disks. Every time it adds a disk, it'll give you a little output into PowerShell with the properties of the disk, which isn't much. And then the slow bit is really this last bit, right? Now, when that last bit is done, I'm just going to flip over to the portal. You should be able to refresh. We should see the disk. Here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4. LUN number 0, 1, 2, 3. Got the correct size. You can see I'm getting 150 megabytes per second per one. So if I aggregate them, I can get close to 600 megabytes per second. Good, good, good. And then that's finished. Go to inside the PC. And if I run Disk Manager, I should now see those disks. Was refresh. Action, refresh. Probably ask me if I want to initialize them, right? There we go. Look, see, there we go. I can now, if I wanted to, I can initialize all those disks as GPT say, right? So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, done.